Welcome everyone to Kinsei-Do Corner, our new video podcast. On this show, I sit down with athletes, coaches, and any fitness enthusiasts from Jakarta and all over Indonesia. And we talk about all things health and fitness. Today, I'm thrilled to have Coach Lucas from Surabaya, from CrossFit Tatuka on the line. And I want to dive into how he started CrossFit, where he came from, how he sees training currently and coaching, and all things related to that. So let's begin. Hi, Lucas.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, man. Locked up at home, but doing okay.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So let's dive right into to learn a little bit about you.
Sure.
So obviously you are not from Indonesia, so maybe we start with where you grew up and how you discovered, maybe not even how you discovered CrossFit, but just how you discovered sport and health and fitness.
Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I am from Australia. I'm from a small town called the Sunshine Coast, which is about 1 hour north of Brisbane in Queensland. I've always been just crazy active as a kid. I was a surfer, a skateboarder. I would always be doing something. During high school, I got really into athletics. So I was a really good runner. I actually made it to the state level for 100-meter sprints.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of represented. It was a bit strange back when I was growing up, but I guess you could say I was like in the sort of like Queensland team for 100-meter sprint. But that was as far as I ever got. So I was always doing a short distance, so 100, 200, and 400 meters. And then, I was on the rugby team, so I always played rugby. And then, as I think most young teenage boys going into manhood, kind of found their way into fitness. They just wanted to, have a big chest, big arms, and a six pack. So I was always going to the gym and just trying to achieve that goal. And then, so from there, I didn't really find CrossFit until about 2015. So that was quite some time later. I moved to China when I was like just on my 17th, going into my 18th birthday. I moved there. Actually, it was long story short. My parents moved to China before I graduated high school. So I moved into my brother's house and finished high school living with him. After I graduated high school, he decided he didn't want to live in Australia anymore either. So he moved to Surabaya. And then I was kind of not really doing anything. I was a bit of a useless kid. I didn't get a very good grade at school. So I was kind of just stuck doing nothing. So I decided, well, I don't really want to be here doing this anymore. This doesn't feel right. So I got on a plane and went to China to meet my mom and dad, who got me a job in China, where I spent about 6 months in a city near Shanghai, very small city. So I spent 6 months there. I really enjoyed it. My contract finished with the school. They bought me a ticket back to Australia, so I flew back to Australia. Told all my friends how cool China was and how much fun it was there. And about 10 of my friends that I went to school with, we all got on a plane and moved to a city in the north of China called Harbin, which is a really large city.
Wow.
And that's where I spent the next 5 years of my life. I kind of went to China with a small gang of my friends, and we were just, teaching English and running amok in Harbin and just living this crazy, surreal life, basically. And then in that time,
when was that? What year was that you first went?
Oh, wow. It would have been, so when I first went, it would have been 2005. I can't really remember my years, 2005, but my big stint was 2006 to 2011, 2010, 2011.
Okay. That's exactly like the pre-Olympics, post-Olympics, you'd see.
Yeah, exactly. We were there for all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was crazy. So where I lived was quite far more north than Beijing.
Yeah, it's ice cold. That's why they have that ice festival every year.
Ice festival,
right?
yeah,
Harbin,
exactly. Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know where Harbin is or what it's like, it's a cold, basically a cold city, minus 40 degrees in the winter, 30 degrees plus in the summer. So it's like this huge temperature difference. So yeah, spent about 5 years there. Got really tired of it. Just kind of, I wasn't a very healthy person. I was drinking a lot. I was partying a lot. I did go to the gym every now and again, but I really let my fitness kind of just let myself go when I was living in China. Moved back to Australia again. Again, didn't feel comfortable anymore because, I've lived most of my adult life, which was very short at the time, abroad, with meeting lots of new people, traveling, experiencing new things that a lot of my friends in Australia didn't really get to experience. So I came home and I didn't really fit in anymore. I felt a little bit awkward, and I just kind of got the urge to travel again. And in that time where I was living in China, my parents also got sick of China, didn't want to come back to Australia. So they moved, because my brother had moved to Surabaya. They moved here to kind of be close to him because they hadn't seen each other in a while. So they came. I went back to Australia. About 6 months in Australia, I decided I'm done here. I came for a holiday to Indonesia to meet my mum and dad because I hadn't, even though we lived in China, we lived really, really far away. So I think in the 5 years I was in China, I met my parents twice, which is a bit of a shame. Yeah. Also, I was a young kid drinking, wasting all my money and stuff. So I had no savings or anything. Anyway, so I came to Indonesia, Surabaya, and I just decided I don't want to go back. I stayed here ever since.
And that was 2015? No.
I moved here in 2012. Okay. 2012, and then and I was teaching. I teach in a school called the Surabaya Grammar School, which my whole family were teaching at as well. My mom, my dad, my brother, and myself.
Your parents are teachers, both?
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
Yeah. So what happened then? So in that time, I was really involved with fitness. When I came back here again, I was like, okay, I really want to get healthy again. I found a guy on Facebook in Bali called Theo who was selling kettlebells. So I just bought one kettlebell, and I got really into kettlebells. And I asked him one day, hey, is there any like courses or anything that I can do around kettlebells? Because I really want to learn more about it. And it just so happened that there was a very famous kettlebell coach called Steve Cotto, who was coming to Jakarta to hold a course. I kind of got connected with the person organizing that course, and I flew out to Jakarta, and I took that course, loved it. And basically at the end of that course, I met someone from the company called PrimaFit. His name was Rohan. Kind of got friendly with him, and then just went back to Surabaya after the course and kept teaching English. And then one day he messaged me out of the blue and said, hey, we're holding a fitness instructor course in Surabaya. Just come along and hang out, and we'll just see, like, you don't have to pay anything. Just come along and see what you think. Took the course again. And at the end of it, he just said, hey, you want to go have a coffee? Had a coffee with him, and he offered me a job working at PrimaFit. And the goal for that position was retail manager in Jakarta for I think they had 4 or 5 stores at the time. And on top of that, it was to be one of the coaches at their CrossFit gym, which at the time was called CrossFit Senayan. And at that time, I didn't even really know anything about CrossFit. I'm like, sure, I'll do it. I was tired of teaching, and I kind of wanted to get away from Surabaya for a little while and just experience a new city and living by myself. Because when I moved here, I was living with my mom and dad because it was just easier for us to live that way. So basically, I finished up my contract at school that year, and flew to Jakarta. They put me up in an apartment there. It was really nice, and flew me to Singapore. I did my CrossFit L1. So that's kind of like my story, how I got into CrossFit. It's very long story, but yeah, in a nutshell, that's kind of how it went down.
No, that's awesome, man. That gives us a lot of points that I can.
Sorry, if it's a hugely long-winded story.
Cool. Let me start all the way back.
Okay, sure.
100 meters.
Yeah.
And what was your best time?
So I was 16, 17 at the time. My best time was 11:32 or something like that, which is pretty good.
That is pretty good. I mean, close to the 10.
Pretty good.
Anything?
Yeah. I mean, like a second in a 100-meter sprint is like 10 hours, right? It's so big. But, at the time, like I thought that was pretty good. It got me pretty far in my journey with athletics, and I really loved it. But yeah, so that was it. I don't remember my 200 and 400 meters times, but they were pretty good. But my 100 was my best one.
Okay. And do you see do you see that carrying the benefits of that kind of training carrying over still into your CrossFit career?
Well,
in your
I think,
training?
yeah, for sure. I think the first thing that I would say that carries over is my engine is terrible. I mean, a 100-meter sprinter generally doesn't, outside of their 100 meters, 200, 400, they're probably not going to be able to do these long distance things. So a shorter workout for me is definitely where I would say my wheelhouse, where those longer, chipper workouts, say something like Murph, destroys me.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, definitely, I do feel that, having that training where I was doing when I was doing my 100-meter sprints, I feel that there was some carryover for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
positive carryover.
Okay, I mean hundreds. Okay, I'm not quite sure about hundreds, but I mean, generally people say the 400 and 800, that's the hardest training, and then these guys.
Oh yeah.
The training for that is the craziest, right? I mean, longer distance is, well, it's a lot more of just running, and but the 2, 4, and 800, that's where it's really the sweet spot between strength and endurance and everything. It's just
right, that middle distance. Yeah, it's really good.
Painful.
Yeah, especially the 4, man. I found the 4 was basically you had to somehow try and sprint for 400 meters. Whereas like the 8, you have a bit of a strategy, like you can chill a little bit on that first lap, second to end of the second lap, like you're starting to sprint again. But
you see those times that people are running the 800, and like I couldn't do a single 100 on that pace.
It's crazy, man. What athletes can do now is incredible. Like I forget his name, but the marathon guy who's just running. What was it? Yeah, what was sub 3 hours or 4 hours? I forget. Sub 2.
Sub 2.
Yeah, sub 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Insane.
And you see like all the YouTube videos of people like on a treadmill trying to run that pace, and they're just collapsing, just getting destroyed. It's incredible,
10 seconds. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Yeah. No, it's I think it's a sub. Well, it's definitely under 3 minutes per kilometer, 42 times.
42 times. Yeah. Oh my God. And like just trying to like understand that is just mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So
the 3 minute for the 1K was always like my magic benchmark, which I got very close to, but not under. But to think to do that several times in a row.
Oh, it's so hard. Crazy.
So how was I mean, obviously you were at a relatively high level. So what kind of training outside of sprint training did you guys do as an athlete?
We were doing a lot of like plyometric stuff, like explosive work. Basically just box jumps, single leg jumps, like a lot of single leg movements, split squats, split lunge, barbell walking lunge. But at a very young age, kind of in a smaller town in Australia, kind of in the early 2000s, there wasn't too much focus on athletics and developing athletes. Especially where I was, right? So, I mean, I'd say 80% of the training that I was doing was just sprint training. And then all the other stuff at the time, I had one really good coach who would just kind of guide me and tell me like what he thought I should be doing. And then I would just go to a gym and do it by myself. So all the single leg work was all done by myself. Probably terrible form as a 16-year-old kid, just thinking I'm killing it, but
for sure. Okay. All right. And so jump on, not much fitness going on when you were in China.
Just very conventional gym stuff, bench press. I'd never, like, up until the last year I was in China, I never even knew what a deadlift was. An Australian friend who I met over there, he was like, "Hey, you want to try deadlifting today?" I'm like, what the hell is that? And he's like, "Oh, it's this." I'm like, "All right, sure. Yeah, no problem. I'll give it a try." And so that was the first time I ever did deadlifts. So, I mean, that's kind of like where my fitness level was, if you can imagine. Yeah.
And any kind of team sports you played while in China? I remember, so I went to China after university. For 6 months, five and a half months. And,
cool.
But obviously I was at a university to learn Chinese, and a lot of team sports going on. I mean, a lot of football, mostly football.
Yeah. So a lot of we like, it was funny. I worked at a school called Joy English Language Center, and it was the biggest school in the city. And there was like about 25 like expat or native English speakers that all lives in an apartment building. He basically bought like 2 floors, and just every room in that apartment belonged to one of the teachers. So we would all get together and play basketball. So like we played a lot of basketball there, which I really enjoyed. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Good way to, get sweaty and exercise with some friends.
Yeah.
But apart from that, like there was a lot of people, like we would see a lot of like Chinese people doing team sports, and we saw a lot of soccer, a lot of badminton. No, not really team sport, but so me personally, not so much, just basketball for fun. Like we weren't competitive at all or anything like that. Just this is a hobby.
Yeah, obviously.
Where did you live in China?
In Beijing.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Cool.
No, I wanted to go where it was sort of still established. I mean, even that was 2007, so that was pre-Olympics, but it was still already. I mean, they had seen white people, basically.
Yeah, right.
They knew that we were a little bit different, and maybe couldn't understand them, and all these kind of things. If you really went into the heartland, I guess. I mean, the point that you went to an English school means there must have been a lot of people already interested in learning English, so it wasn't
for sure. Yeah,
it wasn't completely out of the picture.
Yeah, definitely. I think even now would be a lot different. But that's one of the biggest differences I found between living in China, living in Indonesia. I think like the average person in Indonesia at least has a baseline of English, whereas like in China, like you would pretty regularly have someone that didn't even know like anything except for hello, yes or no, right? Like it was a bit of a struggle. So I mean, that was a good thing too at the time. You were like forced. All right, well, it's like I gotta learn Chinese, otherwise I'm screwed, especially if I'm living here for so long. But here I find that it's funny, like in 5 years, my Chinese got really, really good. Now I've lived here in 7 years, and my Indonesian is terrible because everyone speaks English. So it's like, I don't really need to practice it. Whereas in China, it was like, if I don't practice, I'm going to die.
Yeah, that's right. So you didn't learn Chinese, let's say, how to say, systematically? You just learned by going around?
Well, I'd say like 80% of the time. Yeah. I took a 4-month, or I think it was a 4 or 5 month language course while I was there, but that was actually towards the end. And it was just because we had a lot more free time at school, and I wanted to do something. I felt like I was just stagnant. I wasn't doing anything. Like I said, I was partying too much. I was like, all right, if I go to school, this is going to give me an excuse to not go to parties so much and knuckle down and really study for a bit. So yeah, systematically about, 4 months, I would say. And then the rest of it was just learn as you go.
Okay. That's cool. And how's your Chinese right now? What would you use?
Pretty good. My girlfriend is Chinese. Yeah. So.
Okay. So you practice, as in you use it. You're still using it actively.
Yeah. I speak Chinese like every day. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's
okay. We live together, and I mean, her English is great, but she understands that I still want to use my Chinese, so I get to speak Chinese a fair bit.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, because
it's really good.
Mine's gone down like horribly.
Man, it's one of it. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I was saying I was when I went there. I really went. I mean, I was 24, but I really went with the purpose of not doing anything other than studying, and I did, and most of my classmates did not. But I spent every afternoon either with language partners or just sitting in my room and writing, basically rogue memorizing the characters.
Yeah,
it was pretty decent when I left, but like it's and I think now I couldn't write war anymore if I wanted to.
Terrible. It's one of those things, man, like that and fitness, like if you don't stay on top of it, like it goes real fast.
Yeah. Good analogy, actually. Yeah. I mean, fitness, and I think the same with fitness, it will come back if I was submerged in the environment. Yeah,
definitely. Exactly.
It goes down quickly.
Oh, sure does. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So where do we go next? After that, after China, then came
back to
Australia, and then Indonesia. So basically what drew you to Indonesia, you would say, is basically that your parents were here and you had no other idea where.
Yeah, exactly. I had nothing else really going on. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was like I mean, it wasn't a midlife crisis, but it was some sort of a crisis. Like, so I I hadn't seen my family in a while. I hadn't seen my brother in a really long time. So it was kind of like this
is he still
perfect.
there? Is your
Yeah,
brother
he's still there. He was actually at my house this morning. Yeah, he lives in Surabaya as well still. So he married a Indonesian woman. He lives about 10 minutes drive from me. Yeah.
Okay. Is he also into fitness like you are, or not so much?
No, not at all. I mean, he really loves fighting, like boxing. So he's got a punching bag at home, and he'll train a lot. But it's funny you say that. Just before this COVID stuff happened, he really started coming to my gym. I was like, "Come on, man, I'll give you a membership. You don't have to pay anything. Just please come to the gym." Because it's funny. I said he was at my house today. We have a set of scales just as we leave the house. He stood on it. He's my height. He's like, "Oh man, I'm 100 kilos." So he's a big boy. Yeah. So before the COVID thing happened, he was really getting into it, giving it a hard go, and then bam, stuck at home for 3 months, and he's put it all back on.
It's been really hard. I mean, I don't know. Actually, interested to find out how it went or how it is going for you. I know you got gear at home, you train at home, but the motivation is difficult even for people who love fitness like we do.
Oh man, same dude. Someone was asking me how's the gym at home going? I'm like, yeah, it's great. I'm so happy I have a gym, but I find any excuse not to use it. Anything. It's terrible. You really have to be on the ball with it. You're like, okay, tomorrow morning, I got to get up. I got to hit something. Doesn't matter if I do it half-ass. I just got to go and do something.
Yeah, even half-ass is
better
than not.
Exactly. Then sitting up here playing, video games, right? So yeah, I mean, I got a really nice gym set up. I don't have any cardio stuff, but I live in a really quiet kind of estate, so I just run. Basically, I'll just whatever my program was going to be for that day, I'll just put a run at the end and a run at the start and a run at the end to kind of finish it up as well. So I just add a little bit of conditioning in there, like just some running.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, you mentioned you live in your estate. How's the situation in Surabaya at the moment? I hear it's almost as in the COVID situation. It's almost
yeah.
like
well,
Jakarta.
yeah. So I saw a map the other day, and a map of Java, and it's color based, and the worst color is black. Black is where the most cases of COVID are happening, and everything else is kind of between red and light red to white. White being basically nothing. We're the only place in the whole of Java that's black, and apparently we're black by 5 times. So apparently right now Surabaya is pretty rough. But I really should be more on top of it and aware of it, but I just don't really listen to the news or read much news at all. We're told to stay home as much as we can. We have a connection where we just basically tell someone at a market what we want in terms of meat and veggies, and they'll just deliver it to us, so we don't need to leave the house. So, I mean, we're pretty, I feel like we're safe, but it seems like just outside of where we're staying is pretty hectic.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I still struggle to trust the numbers that are coming out of Jakarta or Indonesia in general. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I mean, 28, I think the latest number, I'm not really sure, but it was 28 or 29,000 confirmed cases, which would make it less than Singapore, which is just
right.
Can't be, right?
No.
A country of 250 million, that just can't be.
I totally agree. I'm sure there's something going on there, but again, what can we do? Yeah. But I definitely agree with you on that. I think the numbers are a little bit different than what they're saying.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So sorry, let's jump back. We're getting
sidetracked.
That's amazing though. Where were we? We went to, so you came back to, not back, you came to Indonesia to just basically be again with your family.
Yep.
Then came the opportunity to go to Jakarta with PrimaFit. When was that? Was that 20?
So that was 2015.
2015. Okay.
Yep. So 2015, I came to Jakarta. I don't know much about the company now, but they were based at the Sultan Hotel, kind of in the SCBD. The box was where CrossFit Bangkok CrossFit is now. That was their old place. And then in one of the apartments that are connected to that block, they had their main office for the PrimaFit company in the basement. So yeah, I would get up at about 4:30 every morning, go and coach 2 sessions, go back home, get ready, and then go to one of the shops that were placed around Jakarta, and just kind of, my goal there was, well, they wanted me to be teaching the local employees their English. So that was kind of like my focus, and then just kind of managing the stores as well.
Okay. So you were coaching the morning classes, and then you just, the rest of the day you were at the office or stores.
Office or stores, yeah.
And that's every day. That's a long day. That's a long work.
Yeah, that's a whole other podcast, I think. But it wasn't the best experience for me. I didn't really enjoy it that much, and there was no clear line as to what I was supposed to be doing. So I was just kind of like, there was no really dedicated day off. There was no real dedicated, I guess you could say, guidelines as to what my role was in the company, outside of being the coach at the gym. So, I was just kind of just going around and just trying to make these stores perform and teach the guys in the shops English. And then, basically there was 4 or 5 shops. So I'd go to one every day. And then after the 5th day, I'd just go back Saturday, Sunday, working again, just do it again.
Oh, wow.
Sunday was off Sunday was off for CrossFit. But the busiest time in the mall is the weekend, right? So like I would have to go back to the stores Saturday and Sunday and just see what was going on. I mean, granted, I would do like a half day Saturday and Sunday, but it was still pretty much 7 days on.
That's rough. Okay. And that lasted for about a year.
Yeah, it was less than a year. I just remember like, I met my mom and dad because I was in Jakarta. I used to live with mom and dad in Surabaya. At Christmas time, we both I took a little bit of time off from work, and met my mom and dad in Bali. But even though I was off work, I was like constantly on my phone, like replying to emails, messaging people like related to work. And my mom and dad said like, what the hell are you doing? Like, you're not even making as much as you were teaching English in Surabaya. Like, why don't you come home? And I'm just like, that's a really good question. That's a really good point. And then basically then and there, I like wrote an email like, hey, I'm done. I'm coming back to Jakarta. I'll finish out the month. I'm not happy. I'm just going to move back to Surabaya, which they weren't very happy about, obviously. But not much they could do about it. And and then so I moved back to Surabaya. Still obviously a CrossFit coach, but at the time there was no CrossFit gym in the city. So I've got another funny story. Came back. There was a couple, like at the time, the phase that was Surabaya was going through was everyone was into calisthenics, and everyone loved calisthenics. So before I left, I'd kind of made some friends in the calisthenics community. I wasn't really close with them or anything, but sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place. When I was in Jakarta, I got really into competitive CrossFit. Obviously quit and moved out of Jakarta to Surabaya, and there was no CrossFit place for me to train. So I contacted the calisthenics people that I made friends with before I left and said, hey, I'm back in Surabaya. I really want to get back into coaching CrossFit, or so I need somewhere to train. Like, do you guys have any squat equipment or any CrossFit equipment? And they're like, oh, that's funny you say that. Like, we're trying to introduce functional training into our calisthenics gym. Why don't you come over and we'll chat? So I was like, sweet. So, a couple of days went by, and I met the guys at the gym, and they had a squat rack, a pull-up bar, and a couple of barbells and plates. They're like, hey, you can come here and train for free, as long as you coach a couple of sessions a week. So I'm like, sure, no problem. And it's funny, like, as that happened, one of the guys who worked at that place decided to bring his motorbike into where the calisthenics was located. It was in a house, basically, that they'd kind of turned into a gym. And something happened, and his motorbike exploded. Like, literally, it burst into flames and burnt the whole place down. It was insane.
Were you there?
So it's like, No, I wasn't there. I was at home. It happened at like kind of late at night or something. They did late night sessions. So the place is burnt down. Literally, I go there the next day and it is just like what you'd see in a movie, like just smoldered, crumbled building. Everything is black. Plates are melted. Everything is unusable. It was a really unfortunate thing for those guys. And they're like, well, obviously we can't give you a place to coach or train anymore, but we still want to do something with you. Can you wait like 6 months until we rebuild it? I'm like, dude, like 6 months? What am I supposed to do for 6 months? Like, I have competitions coming soon. Like, I need to train. So I said, look, I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm kind of done with this. I can't wait. I wish you all the best, but I'm going to move on and find somewhere else. Got introduced to another guy who decided he was opening basically a fully functioning CrossFit gym, just didn't affiliate. So they had rowers, they had squat racks, they had everything that a CrossFit gym has. But it was about, I guess, even on a motorbike, is about 50 minutes drive away, 50. It was really far away. Okay. But dude, that's where I ended up coaching. I was coaching there for about a year. So I'd drive there 6 days a week, coaching 2 classes a day or 1 or 2 classes a day. Great place, great people. The name was Turunga Strength and Conditioning.
Oh, they're still around, right?
Yeah, they're still around. Yep.
Yeah. I've seen them. Yeah.
Really, really cool people. And then, as that started developing, I was coaching there for about a year, and then something happened and I really injured my back. I remember I was doing like American kettlebell swings where we come up and overhead with a 32 kilo kettlebell. I was swinging, and just felt something like just go like that. And literally just dropped me to the floor. Like I was just grounded basically. So, finally, after about 20 minutes of laying around in pain and agony, I got up and then had to drive my motorbike home for 50 minutes. And so that compounded the injury, and I basically had to quit. I'm like, hey guys, like I'm done. Like I can't, my back is messed up. I can't continue. So there we go again. I'm done. I've done fitness, CrossFit's done, everything's done. 2 months go by maybe. I'm kind of doing literally nothing. I was swimming a lot. And then Scott, I think you might know Scott Hanna, one of the guys from Benkel. Yeah. He messaged me. He's like, hey, we want to open a box in Surabaya. Are you interested? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. So he flew out. We scoped out a couple of places and decided would probably be better to find a local partner. So I introduced him to my partner now, Sugiono, who is basically, he was running a gym at the time, a very small, kind of very standard style Indonesian gym. We decided to work together and we found our first CrossFit place. And it was a really small, basically storage garage in a clubhouse just down the road from where I was living at the time. Tiny place. It was broken into 4 different rooms. We decided just to demolish the whole thing and just make it basically 4 walls and a roof. Put a squat rack in there, a rig in there with 3 squat racks, and that's where we were for the first year.
Okay, and that was officially CrossFit Tatuka already. You were affiliated from the go.
Actually, no, sorry. I missed a step. We found one. So there's basically 2 estates that touch next to it that are connected to each other. One is called Wisata Bukit Mas. One is called Prambanan. I lived in Prambanan. My school was in Wisata Bukit Mas. And the Prambanan had this beautiful space, and that's where we were first. But it was on the 2nd floor. So we paid for the year's rent, I think it was, and we decked it out. We made it look good. It was a full-on functioning CrossFit gym. Day 1, the grand opening. We have about 40 people come, and the manager of the clubhouse comes, and Joe, I think it was Joe and Marco from Benkel came. We led a class, mostly just bodyweight stuff, and then those guys came on, and like no one knew what CrossFit was in Surabaya at the time, so we're like, all right, these guys are going to put on a CrossFit workout. They're going to do, I think it was like 2159 thrusters and pull-ups or something, and CrossFit style, you're doing your thrusters, you drop it at the top, the whole building is just like an earthquake, and underneath is a swimming pool, and like all these kids are like hanging out, and like it was a nightmare. And literally at the end of the first month, we got evicted
because of too much, as in
because too much noise. It wasn't conducive to like their style or something. They made up all these excuses, but basically I think it was just, they're like, what the hell is this? We've never seen this before. This is foreign. This is scary. Get them out of here. We don't want it. We don't want it. So then we moved to the place that I said earlier, where it was just 4 walls and a roof. And then we were there for a year, and we outgrew that place within the year. We're like, we need a bigger boat. We got to find somewhere else. And then that's when we decided, okay, we've got to find a new place. There was a gym in Chitraland at the time called Forever Fit. They weren't doing so well, so they decided to shut down. It's funny, when Scott first came, we actually looked at their place because that's the place we really wanted. We loved it. And the guy offered us an insane price. It was like 2M or something like that for a 2-year contract. And we're just like, this is not going to happen. We can't afford this. It's a shame, but we got to let that dream go. So we found that warehouse that I mentioned earlier, stuck there for a year. Time to find a new place. We go back. It still hasn't been bought yet. So we're like, hey, we'll give you this. Much, much better price. And the guy was like, sure, we'll take it. He'll take it. Just had to give him some time to think about it, I guess. And that here we are, man. So now we're in CrossFit Tatuka in Chitraland. It's a beautiful spot. It's kind of like a 1-story, very, very long building with a 2nd floor towards the end that we rent out to a lady called Leah, who runs female classes upstairs. And yeah, we love it. But it's funny, we need a bigger boat again. Well, before COVID happened, we were in negotiations to find a new place, and we're going to build something kind of with the idea of what Bankel's done, the 4 shell, like a shell walls, like 4 walls with a roof. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know what's going to happen after COVID. I mean, the goal would still be to go there, but you know what happens when these big gaps of time go by, it's almost like you got to start again. So I really feel like we'll probably be able to stay in the place, because we probably would have lost a few members once everything goes back to normal. We'll probably have to rebuild up the community again, and then then we might need to think about moving on and building another place.
I mean, everything will change, even in the new normal, whatever it is. You will not be able to cram that many people in this, or just the same amount of people will not be able to be accommodated in the same space anymore. So so even if you lost members, maybe true. What your facility
the new normal. I love that, the new normal. It's like it's definitely going to be different once we go back to being able to go out and do what we were doing before. It's definitely going to be different, I think.
I mean, so Stronghold, where I coach, we haven't we haven't reopened yet, and we are in fact so I mean, I speak we, but I'm actually not a stakeholder in it. I only coach there. But there was basically when it closed down, when the government made us shut down. It was end of March, I think. And at that time, the owners were saying, if this goes on past April, then probably we cannot reopen, because we can't keep the whole thing. We can't just maintain the whole thing. The cost of just maintaining it without any money coming in, that doesn't work. So
I understand.
So at some point they were now saying, okay, we're not going to reopen, but now most recently they've said, okay, we will reopen, and we'll just do it differently. The same space, the space that we have. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it to Surabaya in February when you had the conference. I haven't seen your place, but our place is pretty small, and I think we are going to be looking at capping classes at 5 people, just to make sure that everyone can basically do their burpees and not be in a puddle of someone else, right?
Yeah, that's so true. And that comes back to your new normal. It's like, 6 months ago, swimming around on other people's sweat was like, fine, no problem. But I definitely think that's not going to be the case when we come back.
Yeah, that, and then I mean, you don't even want to handle the same barbells anymore. You don't want to share barbells unless you wipe it down every rep.
Just wipe it down.
Can't
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
No.
It's gonna be interesting. But I think, I mean, every challenge is always an opportunity. So I think we have an opportunity of maybe not just rebranding, but kind of reshaping also who we cater to, not try to be the community gym for everyone, which we've been trying to be, and maybe it's just now it's going to turn towards a more I hate to say exclusive, but yeah, ultimately that's what it would be, right? It would be basically a facility that is specific fitness for a specific type of person, and not anymore for everyone.
Yeah, and I think that again, like that kind of concept and that exclusive way of doing things, I think that will be the new normal, man. I really do. I think we will need to like condense, not condense. Like we'll have a smaller group that we work with, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, you know. I mean, we can as a coach. For me, you know, like having a class of 5 to 10 people is a million times better than having a class of 30 people, right? So it's I guess there is a, like you said, there's a silver lining to it, right? I can give my members a lot more attention. I can really hone in on their skills a lot more. Whereas, you know, the guy down the back with like 20 people in front of him really gets neglected because I can't be there when I've got all these other people to look after. Yeah. So I mean, classes will. I mean, before doing CrossFit, I was in boot camps, and in boot camps, I mean, you wanted the more the merrier, because obviously, well, margins weren't very high, and generally, you wanted the whole vibe got better if it's more than if you have more than at least, let's say, 10, you got you get group workouts going, you got team workouts, partner workouts, all that kind of thing, or just basically just racing each other. So everything lived from having a bit of a mass there. But yeah, you don't have a chance of actually running the session and making sure people are moving properly and safely. I mean, there's definitely you got to compromise, right? Yeah, it's like, do you work on building the brand and getting as many people in, and you know, at that same time you're neglecting everyone, or like a lot of people, like you need that balance, right?
That's right. So because what happens once you've attracted a lot of people and then your service isn't great, then a lot of people will be talking negatively about your service.
Negatively, but and then they go to the other gym, right? Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I mean, we've been chatting for a long time already.
Yeah.
Now coming up to, wow, must be 40 minutes at least, 45.
Probably. Crazy.
So yeah, I don't want to take too much of your time.
You're right,
Maybe
man.
No problem.
Chat a little bit. I'm cool to chat a little bit more. I do have so one of the other coaches in basically there's three CrossFit gyms. When I say CrossFit, none are affiliated anymore. Even ourselves, we decided to not affiliate this year. But we have Turanga, my first place where I worked, CrossFit, Tatuka, where I'm working now, and Urban. Urban has an American coach called Matt Heller, who is an unbelievable athlete. He's coming to my place at 4. So, I mean, we've got like 15 minutes.
Okay. Awesome. He's coming to train. You guys are working out.
So him and I are creating an online training program.
Cool.
Just a training from home, bodyweight only program, but really, 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 really good. A lot of the time I find these like online bodyweight trainings is like every day's burpees and sit-ups, right? There's like very, very limited. So we've come up with a 30-day training regime where it's very diverse, very, very mixed movements. So yeah, we are going to work out because we're going through the program before we release it. And then we're going to be doing some coaches comments where we just use my mic and we just kind of do like something similar to this, like a podcast style, basically going over like tips and tricks that you would do for each workout. So we're going to do that this afternoon.
That's very cool. Where will that program be available? Or
well, we'll be promoting it like mostly online through Facebook and Instagram, and then we'll have some affiliate marketers doing some work outside of Indonesia for us. But yeah, we'll be sure to let you know when it's up and going.
Please do. How are you? As in, what platform are you using to share it? As in, if I were as a member, as a client, how would I access the program?
Okay, so it's just an ebook PDF that we've created that it basically gives you the 30 days of programming. And then we add you into a Facebook community group where we kind of guide you and we chat to you and kind of tell you, answer all the questions that you have for days of training and maybe some nutrition tips, just all that kind of stuff. So mostly it'll be through Facebook community, and then the program will come in a PDF format.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
That sounds good. Okay.
That guy is insane, man. He qualified for Wodapalooza.
My word. How old is he?
Yeah. 41. He's a masters athlete.
So he in his age group, but still.
Yeah, in his age group qualified for Wodapalooza. But dude, he makes me look like a small child playing basketball with Michael Jordan. Like, it's crazy. It's insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
So he could have, well, he's in Surabaya.
Yeah, he's in Surabaya.
How come he didn't go for the Battle of the Fittest?
He only moved here recently. He was in Vietnam. He moved from Vietnam over to here. He has a Vietnamese wife, and they got a job offer from Urban, and then flew out here. And they've only been here a couple of months.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but if everything goes to plan, I'm sure he'll be in the Battle of the Fittest this year.
Oh yeah, maybe let's end with that. How are you? Are you planning to be in it again?
Oh, absolutely, man. But I think I said I said this to you in a message the other day. I'm pretty sure not too many people are in the fittest shape ever that they've been in. And I feel that going and watching the Battle of the Fittest will probably be a pretty boring and disappointing thing to watch. I tell you, man. Well, if I'm anything to go by, like my fitness level is crashed.
Everyone's has gone down, but then it's always a matter of the field, right? Who else is in the field, and if you're if you're up against people like what we saw last time with Ant Haynes and these guys, wow, you're always going to look out of shape. It doesn't matter how good shape you actually are. Yeah.
That's so true. But that's something I love about fitness, because I'm sure Ant Haynes looks at Matt Fraser and he says, "Oh man, he makes me look like a kindergarten kid playing basketball with Michael Jordan," right? So there's all these crazy layers to it. I love it. Yeah,
that's right. So are you doing any other competition, or planning to do any other competitions this year? Obviously.
Absolutely. I'm probably not too interested in traveling outside of Indonesia. Mm-hmm. So, I'd love to do the What-Off if it's on. I'd love to do the Battle of the Fittest if it's on. If you're doing your competition again, the Fit Games again, I would love to join that. Do you have any idea about, do you have any plans to do that again?
So we were already doing a little bit of planning and preparation back in January and February. We were looking at locations and that kind of thing. So that's all, obviously that all completely stopped.
Right.
We, at this time, I don't know. I'm a bit conflicted whether we should try and do it towards like November, December, obviously depending on how it is, or if we should just say, okay, 2020 is a lost year and we come back in 21 properly. I'm a little bit one day I'm this way, one day I'm that way. So it's a bit hard to say, but yeah, I think I would love it. I would love to do it still if it's really safe and kind of
sure,
people would come, right? Then I'd love to do it anyway. And I've always had the kind of the idea that the Fit Games should be something that's a little bit more inclusive than, let's say, What-Off, because even if you look at the scale division in What-Off, there are some really good people in there.
Yeah,
it's not
definitely.
like you can just walk off the street and take part. And with the Fit Games, at least with the Fit Games is lower or open division, I really wanted it to be open for anyone who can run and can put a little bit of weight in their hand and overhead should be able to join. So with that in mind, I don't know how the appetite for this kind of competition will be in the general public. Obviously, people like yourself, people that are athletes or who would consider themselves athletes, they're waiting. They're really eager to get back on the competition floor.
Definitely, yeah.
But maybe some of the normal people, not so much. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's again, this whole situation is surreal, to be honest. Like, I mean, we've never experienced something like this before, so we don't know what to do, right? And we're just kind of biding our time, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, even in the past, I mean, obviously, the whole COVID has brought a host of economic problems with it.
Right.
But and all these things, you could say, okay, they've happened before. You've had the crash 10, 12 years ago. You had a big crash. People lost their jobs. But somehow it just came back, right? But now,
right,
you don't really know how it can come back, right? How can you go back to crowding people in a bus in everything?
Yeah. It's really really interesting.
So that makes a big difference for gyms. I mean, for schools as well, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, for gyms like ours, like CrossFit gyms that actually depend on, well, in a way we depend on the members. I mean, every gym depends on the members, but the global gyms depend on the members paying and not showing up. But we actually want them to pay. We
want them to show up.
Right? So
yeah, that's so true.
It's a bit difficult because now if you want to offer high quality and high attention, you can't really say, okay, you pay, but you can only come once a week. And
right. Exactly. I mean, you'll definitely get some backlash on that end. Yeah, man. It's, I mean, we're still closed. We've opened with classes maxing out at 5 people, but we're just doing that just for our local coaches because they're not making any money, man. Like, I'm personally not coaching at the moment. I'm giving my I guess you could say my classes to them so they can have a little bit of money because outside of, our gym, they're not really able to do anything. Whereas I'm fortunate enough to still be making money from teaching. So, I mean, it's a really tough time for so many people.
So you're doing your classes on a pay-per-play basis at the moment?
Yeah, exactly. So we've frozen everyone's memberships, and then this is now a new system, just a temporary system. Okay. So once things go back to normal, then we'll basically unfreeze everyone's accounts and say, "Hey guys, we're open, business as usual." Okay. But as to when, we've no idea.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's where we are, and let's see how it stands in 2-3 months, and hopefully we'll have a thriving community again.
I really hope so. I miss it. I mean, I do enjoy not teaching. I mean, coaching, but I did for a little while. Now I'm just stuck at home, and I miss my members. I miss seeing them develop and progress. So it's a shame to see all that hard work leading up to this. I'm sure when we come back, all those people, if those people come back, they're going to be, demotivated. They're probably going to be disappointed. So it's going to be really hard as a coach to remotivate them and get them back on track. But that's my job. So that's all we can do,
That's right. Oh, first start by remotivating ourselves. That's
100%
too. I mean, you'll walk back into the gym and all your previous bests will be a mile away. It's going to be quite nice.
It's going to be crazy. Yeah. Even running is hard for me right now. It's funny. I'm parents always say, do as I say, not as I do. I'm doing the same thing, man. I'm cooking cheese. I'm making cheesecakes once a week. I mean, I'm still training, but I've definitely seen a different change in my body. Not for the positive
side. For the better. Yeah.
Not for the better. Yeah.
Same on this side. All right. Well, okay. Yeah. This was really, really awesome, Lucas.
Awesome, man. Yeah.
Had a great chat, and I feel there's so much more we could talk about. So who knows?
I can't believe it's been basically an hour already. I feel like we're just getting started, man. I would love to be invited back, and we can chat some more.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. I mean, who knows how much longer this lockdown will keep us at home? So hopefully in a couple of weeks. We'll,
even if things are business as usual, I hope you continue doing this, man. I really like to see this kind of thing, and I think it's really awesome that you're doing it.
Yeah, thank you, and I really enjoy. I mean, I'm learning a lot from you guys about you guys.
Yeah, right.
And I hope other people are too. So thank you again.
Yeah, awesome,
Lucas.
Hey, Joe, thank you so much, man. You too, mate. And thanks, everyone.
All right.
Awesome. Bye. Thank you. Goodbye.